Welcome to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the #1 podcast and resource for Black entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful, sustainable businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the worldwide Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. If you're currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, you're invited to join us each and every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family and get ready to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 450. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is how to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship. How to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship. Now, we all know that systemic racism has been interwoven in this country since its inception and has basically put the Black community at a large economic disadvantage. Now, on today's episode, I'm going to discuss how to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship, and I'm going to give you 7 tips and strategies to help improve our condition. Now, before we get to today's topic, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and resource links, such as the link to my latest book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide Black community, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. They're getting revamped right now, but they will be back up shortly. Also, don't forget to get your 3 days free access to the BEB Academy. Go to BEBacademy.com, and it is an online learning portal with all types of online courses, masterclasses, downloads, and resources helping you to elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Get 3 days free access to everything inside the Academy. Just go to the website blackentrepreneurBlueprint.com and you'll see the link there, or you can go directly to BEBacademy.com. Now, let's get ready for today's show. So if you've listened to the podcast for any period of time, you know that I want to do the most impactful shows that are going to elevate your entrepreneur IQ and help move you from point A to B by giving you actionable steps. Now, today's show was actually inspired by a comment I got on Instagram from last week's episode, which was titled, What the Black Community Can Learn from the Jewish Circular Economy. Now, if you haven't listened to it, make sure that you check it out. And what I did in last week's episode was I took a video, the audio from a video of a Jewish businessman, and he was talking about the Jewish circular economy, where everybody works with everybody else, and then a portion of the proceeds that every entrepreneur makes goes down to charity. And so I put some information in a quick video promoting the episode on Instagram and all the other social media platforms. And here's a comment that I got, and really ignorant comment, but I want to read it. I'm not going to give the person's name or handle out there because I'm not even going to waste any more time responding. But here's exactly what they said. There's no systemic racism unless you want to talk about affirmative action, which is state-sponsored systemic racism against Asians, whites, and Jews. American blacks are the most privileged people in the world. You can't complain about the police or incarceration when at 13% of the population, you're committing more murder than all other races combined. So I responded to that and actually gave him some facts. I guess he watches Fox News all day and doesn't really understand or have the time or the intelligence to get true facts. Then he responded back to me, affirmative action is black privilege that you don't earn because the government thinks you're not smart enough to compete with the rest of us. I agree with them, but I still don't think it's fair. So basically, you know what this guy, he's probably a card-carrying member of the Klan, probably a MAGA promoter, and he probably voted for Trump last year and the year before, or last election and the election before. So we know what we're dealing with right here. But it made me start to think, how can we combat systemic racism with black entrepreneurship and economics? And this is something, guys, that's super important, because there is a faction of people out there that feel exactly just like this gentleman does. And you see that by the news. You see that by on social media, white privilege. You see it with Trump and his dog whistles basically about racism. And, you want to make America great again, which basically means let's take it back to slavery, where we were subservient and all that type of nonsense. And so I'm going to keep it PG today, which I normally do. But it's kind of hard based on those type of comments that I received. So what we're going to do on today's show is that I'm going to give you 7 different tips or strategies that you can use to combat systemic racism with black entrepreneurship. The first one I want to talk about is work for yourself. Number 1, work for yourself. You can remove racism by only hiring who you want to hire, only working with who you want to work with. So just like many other ethnicities that own businesses, they only work with their own kind and they only hire their own kind. And you don't have to worry about the glass ceiling of racism in the workplace. So working for yourself, building your own business. And so last week's episode, number 449, the Jewish businessman talked about one of the tenets that the Jewish family teaches their children is learn how to work for yourself, make your own money. And it was so deeply ingrained in the Hasidic Jewish community that they said that if you work for somebody else, it's almost like stealing. So that's the emphasis that they had on entrepreneurship. So number 1, work for yourself. So when you do that, you can control the customers you deal with. Not all customers are good customers. So you can eliminate the customers you deal with. So if there's some hint or some type of animosity or racism involved with one of your customers, guess what? Shut them down. Cut them off. You don't have to deal with them, okay? Also, you can hire whoever you want to hire. Statistics show that most businesses hire people that look like them and that they're comfortable with. So when you go into the Korean corner store, you don't expect to see a whole lot of brothers and sisters working there, right? If any at all, because they hire people that they want to hire and that they're comfortable with and familiar with. And there's nothing wrong with it. When you own the business, you can do whatever the heck you want. Okay, so that's tip number 1, work for yourself. Tip number 2, create indestructible income. The term indestructible means incapable of being destroyed, ruined, or rendered ineffective or altered by others. Now, I actually did a full episode about how to create indestructible income. That's episode number 299. So what you want to do is you want to build income streams that nobody can touch. Okay. So you're talking about dividends, annuities, business cash flow, real estate, etc. So no other person has the power to destroy your income. And I'm going to give you a real life example. So if you've listened to the podcast for any period of time, you may have heard me talk about one of my most successful product brands, which is a flat iron brand, hair flat iron brand. And you have never heard me mention the name of that brand. And there's a reason that I don't mention it. OK, so but let me tell you this, and I'll tell you why I don't mention it. Number 1, on my packaging in my box, I have a white woman and a black woman on the box. And I never disclosed that a bald-headed black dude like me, who never used a flat iron, obviously, owns a beauty brand for women. So if they don't know what the brand is, they can't destroy it. So that's indestructible income, because there's a thing out there called sabotage. OK, and so sometimes when you come out with a brand or product and you're the face of that brand or product, if somebody doesn't like you, they can try to sabotage you. And this happened not too long ago, maybe a little over a year and a half ago. Beatrice Polk, I believe her name is. She owns the Honey Pot, which is a feminine products company that had a commercial on Target, or actually was in Target, but they had a commercial that Target promoted. And it talked about her saying, hey, maybe I'm hoping this helps other black and brown children understand, or women understand, that they can get their products in Target also. And what happened was we had some Karens that had some backlash saying that, oh, this was a racist advertisement. We're going to boycott the honey pot and all of that good stuff. And fortunately, what happened was it backfired on them. So the honey pot actually got so much support after that backlash that they increased their sales. But if you're in a product brand business, guys, or any type of business, there is a thing out there called sabotage. OK, so you want to be able to create indestructible income. And one of the ways to do that is not to be the face of your product or your brand. So that way nobody knows who you are. So, for example, if somebody wanted to try to sabotage my Flatiron brand, obviously they don't even know what it is. They don't even know who's behind it. And so you want to create indestructible income. And here's what we're talking about: how to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship and economic empowerment go hand in hand. There's no revolution without economics. And to me, the best way to create money or create wealth is through entrepreneurship. So this is how we're going to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship. Number one, work for yourself, obviously. Number two, create indestructible income. Now, number three, which is paramount on everybody's list, support Black-owned businesses. So you want to be intentional when you spend your money. So you want to be intentional about where you spend your money and with who. So, for example, when you do your weekly or bi-weekly grocery shopping, we usually go every 2 weeks, right? You make sure that you're buying certain products from specialty Black-owned businesses. So if there's a face scrub that you like and say it's not sold in stores, before you go out and do your shopping, write down a list of products that you're going to buy or services that you're going to use, and you go out and you go online and buy those products or services before you start shopping at predominantly white-owned establishments. Okay? Support Black-owned business. All it really is, guys, is a conscious effort. So if it's a body scrub company and you want to get a Black body scrub, it could be Glam Body Scrubs, right? It could be another Black-owned brand. So before you go out there and go to Walmart, Target, wherever you're shopping at, Super G, Acme, whatever, take your time and be intentional about spending your money directly with the Black-owned business. Now, if that product is sold in Walmart or Target or wherever you're going, make sure you support it there too. Okay? So that's one thing that you want to focus on. And like I said, here's a tip. Before you go supermarket shopping, write down a list of Black-owned businesses or products that you want to buy and order them online before you leave, just like you order online at Amazon. So before you go out and do your shopping at the supermarket, you know what, I want this soap, or I want this type of brand, I want this hair care product that I'm probably not going to find in these stores, but let me go ahead and order it on Amazon now, or order it directly through the company's website, so I'll have it. So a lot of Black-owned products that I use, I have them on auto ship. So they'll come in. I got this not beard oil, but shaving cream that I use that's Black-owned. I got a couple other mainstays that I use every month that are on auto ship for that are Black-owned businesses. So support Black-owned businesses. Don't just talk about it, be about it. We need to be intentional with our thinking. I used an example last week. I'm not going to repeat it, but check out last week's episode. You probably spend more money in a day with, white companies than you're going to spend in a month with Black-owned businesses. Unfortunately, guys, the statistics show that only 2 cents out of every dollar in the Black community is spent with a Black-owned business. Just imagine if that multiplies to 20 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents. Do you understand what supporting Black-owned businesses does? Now, I just gave you an example of a Korean corner store, right? They hire people that look like them. So when we support Black-owned businesses, and all ethnicities do it, it's just normal. So when we support Black-owned businesses, guess what? That business can continue to grow. And as they grow, they're going to need to hire more employees. And they're probably going to hire employees that they're comfortable with and that look like them. So that means now as we support these businesses grow and give employment opportunities to people in our community. And that's what all the other communities and ethnicities are doing but us. We'll be the first to go to another ethnicity if we think we can save 5 cents on a bag of wrap snacks. Right? So this store may have the wrap snacks at $2 and the other store has it at $1.95. Black store got it at $2. The Korean store has it at $1.95. You're going to go to the Korean store so you can save 5 cents because you think the brother or sister that owns the black store is trying to get over on you, when in reality, they don't have the buying power because they're not buying cooperatively to get a lower price on the product. So support black-owned businesses and understand the reason you're doing it. Just don't do it, but understand the difference in the magnitude of difference that it's going to make if you do this on a consistent basis. The company grows. They're able to hire more employees. They're able to give more, jobs to people in our community. So when I had my mortgage business, 99% of my employees were black. And I gave jobs to people that probably wouldn't even have gotten into the door at other mortgage companies. And if I found somebody that was a hard worker, I don't care about your background. I don't care if you came out of prison. As long as you're on the straight and narrow right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity. And I used to tell people, I don't fire people, you fire yourself. These are the rules and regulations and guidelines. As long as you follow them, do your job, or exceed whatever your job is, you're in good stead. But if you're playing around and you think because I own the business and I'm black, you're going to get favoritism where you're not going to have to do the work, that's wrong. I'm in business to make money just like anybody else. So respect that just like you would respect working for another ethnicity. So understand what supporting black-owned businesses really is. It's just not, hey, I'm buying here just to support it. Think about the impact that has. And let's try to move from only spending 2% or 2 cents of every dollar in a black business and 20 cents, 50 cents, 40 cents. Like I said, sit down before you go shopping. And I usually go shopping with my wife if I don't have anything to do. She got me running around all these different stores. But sit down and go ahead and order stuff that you're normally going to use on a rotation. And you order it directly from the black-owned company or on Amazon or wherever you can find it. So most people, and I learned this when I was shopping for my mom as she gotten older, they get the same thing every time they go shopping. I know she likes Ivory soap. I know she likes this type of lotion, Jergens lotion. I know she likes Fig Newtons. So you're going to be buying kind of the same stuff every time you shop. So let's make it intentional to put black products in those rotations. And if you can't find them at the store, sit your butt down like you do. You're on your phone all the time. Go onto the websites or go on to Amazon and order the products. So that was number 3. And we're talking about here's what we can do to combat systemic racism with black entrepreneurship. And once again, black entrepreneurship is akin to economic empowerment. All right. Now, number 4. Use a portion of our revenues from your business to create political action committees and to improve your community infrastructure. This was something else that the Jewish businessman was talking about. They give 10% of their proceeds or revenues to charities. And that charity that he said, they could be synagogues, it could be daycares, it could be schools or whatever. Doesn't necessarily have to be the church. And what I said in yesterday's or last week's episode was one of the things that combines or ties the Hasidic Jewish community together is their religion. Now, in our community, we have people that they celebrate different religions. You could be Muslim, you could be Christian, you could be Hindu, whatever. So we don't have that one tie per se to bring everything together, but use a portion of your revenues to create political action committees and to improve the community infrastructure. So you want to build your own schools, right? So we need to start educating our own kids. And I know the charter schools have to go by the state mandates, but they're private schools that you can create and you can teach them African American history. I know that idiot in Florida, Ron DeSantis, doesn't want to have AP African or African American history because he feels that it's the critical race theory. So when you have somebody else controlling your education, then you're going to have a problem, because we know what we need and we should be able to fulfill that. And I'm going to get back to that in a quick second. So you want to build your own community schools with a portion of your revenues, community centers, economic development opportunities, and taking control of our community like other ethnicities do. So you go to any major city, there's a Chinatown, right? That in that Chinatown, they don't just rent the buildings, they own the buildings, they own the stores, they have their own banks, they have their own medical centers. Okay, so it's a community built into a community. So now when you have people coming from China to Philadelphia or any other major city, guess where you think they're going to feel more comfortable living? Chinatown, right? Because that is their community that they control. I can't think of one community right now, and I may be mistaken, that we control everything in the community. The buildings, the infrastructure, the political component around that. And that's something I want to talk about real quick, too. And as I mentioned, use a portion of our revenues to create political action committees. I know there's a faction of people out there that don't believe in voting. But if you don't vote for your local elections, you're a fool. Yeah, I'm going to repeat it. You're a fool, because that is going to impact you more so than anything. So your local elections elect your district attorney. Your district attorney determines what crimes they're going to go after. That can affect your family. It can affect you. Also with politics, politicians create policy. So when developers grease the hands of these politicians and they say, you know what? This is a great area that we can gentrify right here. The problem is it's a black area, and you know that's where it always happens. It's a black area, and we got to get these folks out of their houses. So you know what? Let's increase the tax base where grandmom, who's been in here for 50 years, now isn't going to be able to pay her taxes. So she's either going to lose the house, or we can get somebody to buy it from them. And that's all done based on politics. That's elections. That's voting. Politicians create policy, and we need to be a bigger player when it comes to that. Yeah, it's fine and dandy if you got black mayors and all that, but where's the money behind that? It's a pay for play mentality. If the Teamsters or the unions get somebody in politics in a position of power, guess what? They're going to be beholden to that union or those Teamsters, because guess what? If they don't do what they said, then they're not going to get reelected. So you got to understand the landscape and how all of this works in conjunction. Okay, so if you siphon off a portion of your revenues and create political action committees, you also create community infrastructure. Now you're going to have the entities to do that. Now I'm not talking about Reverend Johnson, who needs a Cadillac fund every 2 years with only 150 parishioners, and he thinks he should be supposed to be driving a BMW or Mercedes. You have to have the power of discernment. What organizations are there in your community that you can donate to that are going to help the infrastructure and betterment of your community? Are there community centers there? Places where your kids can go after school, where they're safe, where they can get instruction? Do you have any healthcare facilities? So all of this has to be done with economics, guys. I say it all the time. There's no revolution without economics. No revolution without economics. So use a portion of your revenues to create political action committees and to improve your community infrastructure, just like every other ethnicity and community does. We very rarely do it on a larger scale. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people that are making a lot of strides, doing a lot of positive things in the community. But in order to make big strides, we're going to have to work collectively. Okay? We put money together. We have a goal. We have a vision. We have a directive, and we make things happen. That's how everybody else is doing it. And I know when you're struggling and you're trying to keep the lights on, it's hard to think about community when you're trying to handle what's going on in your home first. And that's why it's all about economic empowerment. That's why it's all about building your own, controlling your own. If the pandemic didn't teach you anything, it should teach you that, guess what? You need to be able to create your own income, even if it's on a part-time or a side hustle type thing. So when you're dependent on somebody else, they control you. Whoever pays you controls you. And I did an episode on that. And that's the bottom line. So take control back of your life. Take control back of your money. Take control back of your economic empowerment ability by doing for self. OK? And what we're talking about today's show is how to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship. And I'm giving you 7 tips and strategies to help you do so. And that was number 4. Now, let's go to number 5. Learn to extract money from other communities like other communities extract money from us. I'm going to repeat that. Number 5. Learn how to extract money from other communities like other communities extract money from us. Plain and simple, family. Be a producer, not a consumer. So you want to look at how other ethnicities come into our neighborhoods and extract the resources. And what do they do with it? Do they put it back in our community? No, they take it back to their community. So, for example, where do you think the money is going from that corner store, that Korean corner store, when they extract it from our community? It's going right back in their community, and they use it to build infrastructure that benefits them. They're not putting money back in the community, in our community, where their stores are. I drive around, section of Philly, North Philly, West Philly, Germantown, South Philly, wherever you're at. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you think you're looking at blight. But when there's stores and there's commerce there, that means money is there. Now, unfortunately, the stores and the commerce there, we don't own. So we are the consumers. We're not the producers. So when you go into these neighborhoods, you see the little chicken joint on the corner. Most times that's not us. You see the hoagie place over there. That's not us. You see the nail salon. That's not us. They're in the neighborhood and, not thinking if you drive by like, damn, this is a messed up neighborhood. But somebody sees diamonds where you see something else. And what they're doing is they're mining those diamonds in our neighborhood, extracting everything from the neighborhood and taking it back to their own community. OK, so once again, they're using our money, extracting it from us, building their own community. So what we need to do is let's start putting businesses in other people's neighborhoods or marketing products and services to other communities, and use that money to benefit our family and our community. And that's why I talked about indestructible income. That's why I talked about not telling people the name of my Flatiron brand. OK, so I'm doing what they do just on an e-commerce basis. So based on my list of customers, if I just go by names, a lot of times it'll tell you the ethnicity. The majority of my customers are white. They're non-African American based on the names. Now, I can't be 100% sure of everybody's name, but I can pretty much tell you that it's almost 69, 68% some other ethnicity than ours. And so what I've learned to do is extract money from other communities. Everybody else is taking money out of our community, and what they're leaving is nothing. It's the bare bones. They're leaving garbage behind, rubble. That's what they're doing. So just imagine if we had those businesses that are in our community. If we had the corner store, if we had the chicken joint, if we had the nail joint in our community, then we could be hiring people in our community. We could be beautifying our community, and we could be building up the community. So number 5, learn to extract money from other communities like they're extracting money from us. Number 6, control industries and verticals. So guys, we need to start creating manufacturing facilities and start producing our own goods. All we're doing is being consumers for the majority of the time. OK, and let me just talk about vertical integration. So vertical integration is a business strategy in which a company controls multiple stages of its production process and supply chain. All right. So when we think about goods, we want to be able to handle everything, or as much as we can, from the production to the distribution of that product or service. Okay. So companies that are vertically integrated can minimize or even eliminate the need to rely on outside entities such as manufacturing and transportation. So when you're able to control the vertical, that means that's more power that you have. So let me just give you a couple of examples. So the first one is Netflix. So Netflix, initially when they came out, they shifted from licensing shows and movies from other entities. And now what they're doing is they're producing their own original content. All right. So that's an example of vertical integration. So if we had a black manufacturer of hair clippers, right, that sold directly to black barbers, that would be amazing. So say in your city, you got a manufacturing facility. They're making clippers, they're making scissors, they're making all types of stuff. Now, once they manufacture them, they have a sales force that goes around to the black barbers and are selling the clippers and the scissors and all the other stuff. They have a fleet that goes and delivers. They do e-commerce also. So that is controlling the vertical. So as opposed to go buying the clippers from China, right, and then or buying the scissors from China or wherever, paying a markup, you can't control production on that because the production is controlled by the true manufacturer. Then you're at their mercy. So with the supply chain issues going on with the pandemic, you know, there's a lot of things that aren't back to normal yet. And it's funny. One of the things that I drink a lot is Honest tea, Honest green tea. That's one of my favorite drinks. And literally for the past month and a half, almost 2 months, I can barely find it on any of the shelves. I used to buy the big bottles, and now even the little bottles are disappearing. So I don't understand what's going on, but it's probably some supply chain issues. So when you control that vertical, you have more overall control of your business. Another quick example of controlling the vertical is Apple, right? So how many of you guys have seen the Apple stores in some of your major malls? Apple does the manufacturing. They do the shipping out to the mall. And then you can go into the mall, go into the Apple store and buy your phone or whatever accessories, laptop, whatever you want to buy. But it's vertical integration. Vertical integration. They're controlling the manufacturing all the way up to the actual distribution. Another great example is Harry's razors, right? I use Harry's. Now, Harry's started out just like Dollar Shave Club. What they were doing was they were buying razors from a manufacturer in bulk. They were repackaging them and rebranding them under their own name, and then they were selling them. So what Harry's decided to do was they wanted to buy the German manufacturer of the razor blades and bring it under their umbrella. So as opposed to being the customer of that German razor blade manufacturer, they actually purchased that. So now they control the manufacturing of the razor blades in addition to the distribution. Now, they distribute obviously online, but they're also now in stores. And so that's vertical integration, and that's how powerful it is. So for Dollar Shave Club, for example, if their manufacturer has issues, they can't get product out or whatever, Dollar Shave Club is going to be in trouble, right? So as opposed to Harry's that understands and knows the manufacturing schedule, they know if there's going to be a backup, but they actually control the whole vertical. Okay, and that was number 6, control industries and verticals. Oh, let me touch on this real quick. Industries. So, for example, in terms of controlling industries, Koreans control the black beauty industry. It's so crazy that the trade magazines in that hair and beauty space are written in Korean and in English. That's how much of a lock they have on it. So the manufacturing is overseas and the distribution is actually through these beauty supply shops and these hair shops. I read an article years ago about a black flat iron manufacturing company out of Los Angeles called Kizure. I believe it's spelled Kizure. And they manufacture their own flat irons, and they were distributing them, the flat irons, through the beauty supply stores, which are predominantly owned by the Korean community. Now, this is why I talk about controlling the vertical and why it's so important. So Kizure in the article, and it's a video, also said that the Korean stores stopped carrying their flat iron and they were telling customers that that flat iron was no good. What happened was the Korean manufacturers knocked off the Cosori flat iron. That means made a replica, duplicated it, and they were selling it for less money. So now, because Cosori does not have the retail distribution, they got locked out of the beauty supply stores. So when we talk about sabotaging products, when you don't have control, that is a perfect example. So Cosori basically got blackballed from all of the beauty supply stores that are run by Koreans. They replaced their product with a knockoff that looked just like it. They told people that, hey, Cosori, that's no good. This is a better product. It's cheaper, ba-ba. So that's what happens when you do not have vertical integration, when you don't control as much of the production and distribution as you can. So just imagine if you have multiple distribution outlets. So you literally can create a product brand, and as long as you have the retail distribution, then you're going to be in good shape. And the last example I want to give you guys is a store that's based out in here in the Philly area. It's called Wawa, W-A-W-A. It's like a super convenience store, and people in the Northeast, they love it. So they're in PA, Delaware, Jersey, Maryland. I know they're in Florida a little bit now, but they're a state-of-the-art store, and they're the ones that started. They create their own, buy your own sandwiches. So they got, made right on the spot. You go up to the computer, you punch in what you want, and they'll start creating the sandwich and giving it to you. Now, a lot of other stores are doing this now, but they were one of the innovators. So when they started out, Wawa used to sell milk. They manufactured milk and tea. And so in order to sell that, what they did was they actually started creating their own stores to distribute their milk and tea. And as they continued to grow over the years, they used to have Dunkin' Donuts. They sold Dunkin' Donuts in the stores. After a while, guess what? They took Dunkin' Donuts out and started putting their own donuts in, manufacturing all the way through distribution. And number 7, build cooperative partnerships where we can work together and buy goods together to get better pricing. So once again, for example, so instead of every barber buying their own supplies, how about creating a buying co-op to combine all the monthly orders and then buy at a lower price per unit? So you look in, I know in Chinatown, Philadelphia, there's an Asian buying co-op. So when they go in and buy their supplies, they all go in and buy together. And when you go buy in bulk, you can negotiate the price down, which obviously is going to reduce your cost per unit. So that's something that we can do. Another thing is, let's start buying up some of these vacant retail spaces and create a black farmers market or a black shopping district. Now, I know there's one, I believe in Stonecrest, Georgia, called New Black Wall Street Market, and I'm trying to get the founder of that onto the show. I would love to get him on. And I just reached out to him. But what it is it is a shopping center that has all black and women owned businesses. And that's something that we need to do. Build cooperative partnerships, work together, buy goods together, and cooperate. That's what cooperative is. It means cooperate. Okay. So you go to a farmer's market and that's a perfect co-op. So you see it all the time. Matter of fact, I mentioned on last week's episode, I was in a farmer's market and they had a Caribbean food store in there, and the Caribbean food store was owned by Asian family. They own the Caribbean food store, which doesn't make a damn bit of sense. They had all the Caribbean brands in there, everything that you wanted if you're from the Caribbean or you want to shop in like that type of food. But the Asian community owned that. We don't even own our own stuff, man. Come on. It's ridiculous. Now, before we get to the last quarter of the show, let me just share my social media contact information and resource links. I'm going to keep it super simple. Everything I'm going to talk about real quick, you can find on the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. If you want to take the shortcut, you can type in BEBconnect.com. It's going to take you right to the website, BEBconnect.com. So I mentioned at the top of the show, my latest book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Go to the website. I talked about BEB Academy, the online academy where you can get 3 days free access. Go to blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. If you're interested in building an e-commerce business, my groundbreaking course is out, Brand Builder Academy Elite, top of the line course. If you want to learn how to build an e-commerce business, go to the website. Now, if you want to connect with me, anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001. Instagram, I got 2 IG accounts. First one is jjones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. Second one, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. YouTube, make sure you link up and sign and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. We have additional content on YouTube that is not on the actual podcast. Also, LinkedIn, connect with me there, J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And if you're on Clubhouse, I'm at I am J Jones. But it's easy, guys. Just go to the website, blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. All of the ecosystem, my books, online courses, and resources are right on the front page. In addition to that, if you want to learn specific things, hit the Learn tab, and we have all types of individual resources and guides. If you want to learn about marketing, e-commerce, strategy and mindset, scaling your business, it's all on the website. In order to connect with me, if you hit the About button when you go to the website, right under my picture, under my bio, all of my social media contact information is there. blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. We spent a lot of money for redo the site, and we want it to be the resource for Black entrepreneurs. All right, now in the last quarter of the show, real quick, just kind of want to recap and just give some insight into what we're talking about today. So we're talking about how to combat systemic racism with Black entrepreneurship, and at the top of the show, I read you that ignorant email or that ignorant comment that was on my Instagram from somebody, unfortunately, that doesn't believe that there's systemic racism. And believe you me, there's a whole lot of people out there that don't believe it. So that's a whole nother subject. But there are things that we can do, guys, to combat systemic racism. And once again, it's all about economics. There's no revolution without economics. And the best way to get economic empowerment is through entrepreneurship. So number 1, work for yourself. Number 2, create indestructible income. Number 3, support Black-owned businesses. Number 4, use a portion of our revenues to create political action committees and to improve our community infrastructure. Number 6, control industries and verticals. And number 7, build cooperative partnerships where we work together, buy goods together, and we'll be able to get better pricing for our products and services. So this is nothing new. And somebody had mentioned it in one of the comments on Instagram. You know, the motherland, we've been doing this for thousands of years. We were a communal people. It wasn't about my land, your land, whatever. The land was communal. And that's how we normally operate. But what happened was when we were brought to this country and other countries along the way, it all became about mine, individual. So when land started getting cut up, land denoted wealth. And so when you don't have any land and they're giving away all this land and people are like, oh, man, I got 200 acres, that equated to wealth. So that's why we're on the bottom of the wealth totem pole. OK, because we weren't given it. And the guy talked about affirmative action. What the hell was that? That's affirmative action when you steal land from somebody else and you distribute it to people that don't earn it. You know, I wish I literally could have talked to this fool face to face, but that might have turned into something ugly because I can't stand ignorance, especially racism along with ignorance. So what we have to understand, guys, it's an economic battle. It's an economic battle. No revolution without economics. Everything that we need to change is going to take money. Yes, we can go and march. Yes, we can go do other things, protest and all of that stuff. But until we have an economic foundation in our community, none of this is going to change. You waiting for somebody to put or build a Black hospital in your community, even a Black-owned medical center or triage center or whatever. You waiting for that? Well, guess what? You're going to be waiting a long time. So we have to take the reins and be able to create our own type of communities that we need to create. So we had the model, right? You know, Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You had it in Durham, North Carolina. You had Black Wall Streets all over the country. Those are the two most popular. But there were enclaves and pockets of Black wealth and entrepreneurship and business all over the country. Rosewood, they burned that down. And as I said earlier, we have to start being intentional with our spending. Who are we spending our money with? Why are we spending with somebody that doesn't give a damn about you? I just talked about that Gucci thing with Jim Jones not too long ago. I made a comment on a Magic Johnson post. I got some heat for that because he and his wife Cookie were in France and he wanted to thank this concierge, and he kept mentioning all of these high-end boutiques, Balenciaga, Dior, Gucci, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I hope you're spending some money on some black businesses. And then I got some negative feedback from our people saying that, let them live, blah, blah, blah. That's fine and dandy. You can live, but once again, be intentional. And some of these stores like Gucci, I would never spend a dime in Gucci based on the stuff that they've put out. That sweater they make with the big lip sweater, the way they treat some of our people, and you still over there running to give them your money. You come up in the store and, they spitting in your face and you basically saying, thank you very much. I'll be back next week when I get paid. Come on, man. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. No other ethnicity would put up with that. No other ethnicity would put up with being treated like that. But we're so brainwashed and simple-minded that we think that, guess what? Oh, we got Gucci on. What does that mean? That means that, to me, that you don't understand what's really going on. You don't understand the bigger picture. And I get it. Some people don't give a damn, and that's fine and dandy. But if you're clued in, if you're locked in, if you understand the bigger picture, then what you'll recognize is that you don't support businesses that disrespect you. Because the problem is they know that they can continue to disrespect you and your simple Simon ass is still going to buy their products. So guess what? Why are they even going? They don't have to change. That's why I said it's akin to you going up to the counter, buying something, and they spit in your face and you say, thank you very much. I'll be back next week. It's about economic empowerment, weaponizing your dollars, and weapons are used for offense and defense, right? So offense and defense. So now, as opposed to spending money with Gucci, you boycott their behind. You hit them where it hurts, in the pocket. That's the only time or only thing people are going to listen to nowadays, or companies are going to listen to, when you hit them in the pockets. You can sit there and march and, give them bad press. But if you still buying their products, guess what? The bottom line is the bottom line, and the bottom line isn't going to change because you haven't changed. Weaponize your dollars. So I know there's some people that say there's no such thing as black dollars. Now, to me, that makes absolutely no sense, because whoever controls the dollar controls where that dollar goes. And if you're black and you can control the dollars and you work collectively, then you can control and support black-owned businesses, once again, which are going to help our businesses. We're going to help our community. And as opposed to, like I said, getting all the resources extracted out of our community, now you can help black-owned business owners be able to help put things back in the community, be it something as simple as being able to hire other people, gainful employment, things of that nature, being able to take some money and donate to charities, help build up the community, build the infrastructure. That's why this is so important. And a lot of people think that this is a joke. It's a game. Oh, man, I'm still going to buy this. Yeah, keep buying it. See what happens. See what happens. That's why change isn't made. Sometimes change is hard, guys. And we have to be intentional about what we do, why we do it, and who we spend our money with. So that's what today's show is about: how to combat systemic racism with black entrepreneurship. And black entrepreneurship, in my book, is the #1 way to help control black economics. There's no revolution without economics. Don't ever forget that. Nothing is done without economics. When the civil rights movement was here, guess where the money came from? Black entrepreneurs, churches, and then we had other people helping and donating to the cause. Those marches on Washington weren't free. Those bus rides weren't free. Economics controls everything. It controls politics. It controls education. It controls everything else. And those are things that are important to us. And I implore you guys, you please vote. If you don't want to vote for the president, so what? Fine. But you better vote for your local elections, because that's what affects you. That affects your local property taxes. It affects the schools that your kids go to. It affects the zoning, gentrification, everything. So don't be a fool and listen to some of these cats out here talking about voting don't matter. It only matters when nothing has happened to you. But when grandma gets kicked out of the house in North Philly where she's been for 45 years, then that's going to hit home. Don't wait till it's too late. We got to be proactive. Weaponize our dollars. Offensively, when we use our dollars, we go support black-owned businesses. Defensively, we stop spending money with other ethnicities and other businesses that don't respect us. And the only thing I'm asking you to do is what every other ethnicity does. That's what they do. My wife wanted some spices, some Indian spices. We went to an Indian supermarket. All I saw in there was Indians. We were the only black people in there. And they looking at us like we're crazy. So they all supported that supermarket. I guarantee you they could go to Walmart and get those spices for a cheaper price. But they didn't. They supported their own. What I'm asking you to do is something that I already do. And it's something that we all need to do. So remember, the next time you go shopping, not just the next time, but every time you go shopping, sit down before you go out. Make a list of the products that you normally use that are black owned. And if you can't find them and buy them in the store, then you order them online directly from the website, or you order them on Amazon or whatever. But make that intentional and make that a part of what you do every time you shop. Once again, most people buy the same stuff over and over and over when they go shopping. You got a particular kind of pancake syrup you like. You may like Log Cabin. Right? You buy that every time you go out. You may like this different type of meat. You buy this type of meat that you like. This kind of rice. You might like Uncle Ben's, Rice-A-Roni, whatever. So use that same formula and sit down before you go out and shop and spend money with your own people, just like everybody else does. And I can go on for hours. My voice is giving out because I got a sore throat already. But let's close it on out, guys. And I say this each and every week. We get more and more downloads because of you, the BEB family. Couldn't do it without you guys. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, the whole ecosystem with the books, online courses, and everything that's surrounding it, trying to help you elevate your entrepreneur IQ. Remember, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide black community by building and supporting black-owned businesses. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.